Yeah, in order to save time, I've already went and accepted the mission to do a flyby of the moon, and I've designed the rocket to get us there. Again, the top is basically what I always do. One fuel tank with the Terrier engine, a few more fuel tanks with our Spark engine, solid rocket boosters. So yeah, we'll head out there. Now I've already set up my map, and we have the two solid boosters that are going to go off. I'm also going to use my main engine a little bit, probably like I said, about a third thrust, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, we'll take off. I'll lean a little bit to the east. I maxed out the number of parts, so I couldn't even put aerodynamic cones on my solid boosters. But that's okay. That should be enough. Here we go to my map right away. Get ready for that. Now if you actually quicken the speed indicator, left click, you can get an orbit speed and trajectory and your surface speed. I'm actually going to click it over to orbit here, so we need about 2,500 meters per second for orbit. Our solids are about to run out, and then we'll go to full on our mains. Alright, we'll get rid of those. Full on the mains. Yeah, it sounds like... And you can see here now we have these... because Jebediah has gained a level, he can now hold these on the prograde or retrograde vectors. It's going to go to my map, see what we're doing. Oh yeah, we're looking nice. So I'm just going to bring it down a little more here on my horizon. So we're going to take this into a low orbit. The closer to 75,000 meters would be better. So I don't want to go that low, just paying attention. Just pull it back up here a bit more. Okay, I'm going to get ready to cut the thrust off. Alright, now you see here now, this is what we upgraded. We have a T-1 minute. If we left click, we can add a maneuver. We see we can actually do some flight planning. I'm just going to temporarily do this. I'll left click to lock it in. I was saying we're going to be a little bit short of fuel on this burn with our main engines. But we'll see how it works out. Node, minute and 27. The burn time. Now what I like to do is just cut this in half. So it's saying 2 minutes 8 seconds, cut it in half, 1 minute 4 seconds. So at 1 minute and 4 seconds, I'll initiate my burn, and I also want to point at this. This is the target. So we're almost there. Initiate the burn. There we go. That on target as best we can. Go to map, we're going to get rid of that. There's our small Terrier engine. See, it doesn't burn as much fuel. We're getting close to ending our burn time. See, this is very handy to have this information. That's why we wanted to upgrade before we went to the moon, obviously. Alright, get ready to cut the power off. I'm actually going to cut it now. I'm going to get rid of this because I want a more efficient burn because the fuel is kind of low. So I'm going to reset this. See, we're fairly high. I should have shut it off. That's good. I don't want to use any more fuel. We'll go over and we'll just set this. Okay, looks good. So basically 78.2 meter second burn. Our node is going to be in 3 minutes. It's very handy information. The burn time will be 5 seconds at full thrust. So I'm going to time accelerate with my brackets greater than less than bracket. Okay, we'll turn it back down. You got to be very careful. So we're getting on a minute. I'm going to accelerate just a bit here. Actually going to probably start at about 5 seconds. Again, normally you cut them in half as a safe bet. Okay, deceleration. Okay, I'll start my burn. See it coming up. That's good for me. Let's turn this off. There we are. So now we're in orbit. Now, if we hold down the right, we can move around. We're going to zoom out. You can see this orbit. This is the Mun. This is where we want to go. And you can see our altitude is basically between 78 and 89,000 meters. We got to get to 11 million meters. So this is the best way to do this. So we can actually click on here, left click. We're going to set this as target. Now we get a bunch of this vectoring information. Now this tells us the degree we're off from our orbit to the target orbit. Now for right now, we're not going to worry about this as much. We just want to fly by the moon and come back to Kerbin. But you can actually set up your craft to thrust to put you directly in the same orbit, the same plane as whatever the target is. So for this, we're just actually a little trick I'm going to show you. What we're going to do is we're going to line up the Mun pretty much 90 degrees from Earth. Oh, that's good. Now we'll select right down here at the bottom, and again, this is the great thing about that flight planning. We're going to left click, we're going to add a maneuver. We're going to thrust. Now see that going out? And it gets pretty touchy near the end, but we'll just pull it out. Now we have some actual target positions showing up, and they'll give us distances and times. We'll go a bit more. Oh, there we go. We have actually made it into the Mun's orbit. We're fairly high. You can see we're 352 meters, but that's all we need to do. And our orbit will also bring us back into Kerbin's orbit, where we can do a retro burn and come back and touch down. So we're just going to leave it just like that. It looks like we will have enough fuel. Click left, and we've locked it in. Perfect. So the node is in 16 minutes. We're actually just going to thrust our time accelerate, and it goes very quickly. So we can go up to time. If we go over 120,000 meters, we can go accelerate even more. But yeah, we're coming in here. I'm just going to slow it down just to go over a few of the things now. First, we're going to line up with our target. Now the blue represents the direction you want to thrust in to hit the target. This pink is actually the Mun. That's the target we set. So we're just going to bring this in. Yeah, that looks about good. So the burn time is 48 seconds. So cutting that in half, it's going to be at 24 seconds is what we want to start our burn at. We'll time accelerate again, get this down. Don't want to pass it. Alright, looks good. Make some corrections on our targeting. Okay. Let's hope this works. Getting close, 24. And we'll be hitting full throttle. Getting close. Okay, we'll hit full throttle. We'll see this stretch out. I actually like to come in from this angle so I can zoom in a bit more. You just want to keep the heading lined up with the blue. If it's off a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. Let's see our fuel. It's saying we have enough to make it. Whether we can do a retro burn to make it back into Kerbin is another story. We'll see. 16 seconds left on our burn. I usually start to throttle down before I get there using the control key. You can just hit X and then hit shift a couple times to get you there. I'll do that. We'll just get up fairly close. Okay, I'll hit X and then I'll just push shift to bring us up. There we are. We got it. Hit X to turn it off. We'll get rid of that, and this is saying basically we're going to be about 329,000 meters above the Mun. So yeah, we're definitely going to time accelerate out there. As I said before, we can only go up, I think, to 50. Actually, can't quite see that. Yeah, see 50 until we go over 100. Okay, now we can go up more. So yeah, we'll just keep accelerating. Be very careful with this. Turn my view a bit. And that's where we're going to encounter the Mun. still accelerated fairly high, so we're going to shut it down here. We can see it's going to be 3 hours real time before we get there. It will automatically shut the acceleration off on certain events. Okay, we're turning it down. Okay. We're going to be able to see the moon here. I just want to get this locked in so you see what happens. There we go.